And let's welcome aboard the Soul Train for the first time 6 very beautiful young people who recently claimed their place among the most talented families in the soul music business. Let's get some hands together for the Sylvers. That burning love, and his name is Edmund Sylvers.
In the mid-70s, one voice stood out above the rest: smooth, charming, and electrifying. At the age of 18, this man became the face and the voice of one of America's most popular family groups. He possessed the features, voice, and charisma. Girls screamed his name, and the radio stations couldn't stop playing his family songs. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Edmund Sylvers. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel, where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Before the flashing lights, the screaming fans, or the gold records, he was just a boy from Los Angeles, a child born into rhythm, surrounded by music, movement, and family. Born on January 25th, 1957 in Memphis, Tennessee, and raised in Los Angeles, California, Sylvers was the 5th child born to Shirley Mae and Leon Frank Sylvers Jr. In a tight-knit, musically gifted family, the Sylvers household was full of energy, love, and sound. Their mother was the driving force behind the family's musical direction. She saw something in her children early on, something that was very special. While most kids his age was figuring out the alphabet, Edmund, he was learning how to harmonize. The Sylvers, they grew up rehearsing in their living room. Their voice blended like they was born for it. They started off performing as the Little Angels, a charming sibling act singing gospel and soul music around Los Angeles. When Edmund joined his siblings in the late 60s, it was clear from the beginning that he stood out, not just for his voice, but for his presence. Even as a child, he had a spark, a charisma that couldn't be taught. He had the look, the charm, and the ability to connect with the smallest audiences. By the time he was in his early teens, it was obvious that Edmund wasn't just going to be part of the act. He was destined to lead it. As a voice actor, he began his career in the entertainment industry when he was just 14 years old. He was cast in the part of Marlon Jackson on the television cartoon series The Jackson 5 that originally aired on ABC. As the 1970s approached, so did the opportunity. The Sylvers' local buzz started catching the ears of producers, and when the spotlight came calling, the family, they was ready. From living room rehearsals to major label contracts, the journey was just beginning. After earning a recording contract with MGM, the group changed their names from the Little Angels to the Sylvers, and they issued 3 albums on the MGM Pride label, simply named The Sylvers, The Sylvers 2, and The Sylvers 3, between the years of 1972 and 1974. These albums included soulful songs that was written by Leon and produced by Jerry Butler and Cag Johnson. 4 singles for these self-titled albums reached the Billboard R&B charts. The song Fool's Paradise peaked at number 14 on the R&B charts in the fall of 1972. Wish That I Could Talk to You was the group's next single. In early 1973, it became the siblings' first top 10 song. The two-sided hit Stay Away From Me peaked at number 33 on the R&B charts, and I'll Never Be Ashamed, as well as Through the Love in My Heart, which peaked at number 50 on the R&B charts. And the song Cry of a Dreamer received significant airplay on R&B radio stations. Leon penned the upbeat proto-disco tune Misdemeanor for the group's second album in early 1973. However, Edmund's lead vocals was eventually assigned to his younger brother Foster, who was not an official member of the group at the time. The song that featured younger siblings, Angie and Pat, gained rotation on R&B radio stations. The song rose to popularity in the late 80s and 90s after being sampled by rapper and producer Dr. Dre for the DOC song It's Funky Enough. Following the success of Misdemeanor, Foster, Angie, and Pat swiftly joined their elder brothers and sisters in the official Sylvers lineup, bringing the total number of members to 9, and they then signed an exclusive contract with Capitol Records. The label teamed the family up with legendary R&B producer Freddie Perrin, who also worked with the Jackson 5. Perrin, along with co-writer Kenny St. Louis, produced the $2 million seller Boogie Fever, which topped the R&B and Billboard Hot 100 charts. By the end of 1976, Edmund Sylvers was at the top. The Sylvers had gone from a local family act to one of the biggest names in soul and disco music. Boogie Fever was a #1 smash, and Hotline kept the momentum going.
Baby, 'cause I'm burning up like a house on fire. My desire is
For Edmund, just 19 years old, fame came fast and heavy. He was suddenly a teen idol, leading a group of his own siblings, with the weight of the entire brand on his shoulders. But as disco began to fade, so did the spotlight. By the early 80s, the world and the music industry began to change. The hits stopped coming, the phone stopped ringing, and for Edmund Sylvers, it marked the beginning of a new era. As the world's appetite for dance music began to wind down in the early 80s, so did the Sylvers' popularity. After the peak of the Sylvers' fame, Edmund found himself at a crossroads. The group that once dominated the charts was no longer the center of pop culture, and the teen idol who once rivaled Michael Jackson in fan magazines was now fighting to be heard in a new musical era. In 1980, at just 23 years old, Edmund took a leap, releasing his first and only solo album titled Have You Heard? For the first time, he wasn't just a member of the Sylvers, he was the story. The album was a blend of romantic ballads, funk-infused grooves, and a smoother, more grown-up sound. It reflected Edmund's evolution from a teenage frontman to a man seeking his own voice as an individual artist. Songs like That Burning Love showcased his signature falsetto, but with more control and depth.
nowhere to run from memories. Your smiling face is all I see.
More songs that I took a liking to was Have You Heard the News?
I've been wanting you. Have you
And Time.
spent my time feeling sad and wondering why.
The album didn't break the charts and it was no major tour. In the industry that had already moved on to newer faces, Edmund's solo career was largely overlooked. But for those who listen closely, to me, the title Have You Heard was more than just a title for the album. It was a quiet plea from a famous voice who was asking not to be forgotten. Edmund never released another solo album, although he was working on his sophomore album that was supposed to be called Take Me Over. And this album was set to be released under Arista Records. But unfortunately, the album was never released. Whether it was due to a lack of label support, changing tastes, or personal battles behind the scenes, the industry never gave him a second chance. But that one album remains a glimpse into a man that he was becoming and the artist that he could have been. In the world where fame fades fast away, Have You Heard is in a time capsule of a sound of a star who never stopped shining, even when the spotlight moved on. As the stage lights dim and the cameras turn elsewhere, Edmund lived a quieter life. But out the spotlight, a new chapter began. One centered on love, family, and a lasting search for purpose beyond fame. In the early 80s, Edmund found love with famous singer Freddie Payne. Payne, who was 15 years his senior, began dating from 1971 until January of 1983. Although there's not much information about their relationship due to them keeping things private. However, Edmund was a father of 11 children. Yes, 11. This man was a bona fide lover. Among his children is Edmund Sylvers, who will go on to star in the 1991 cult horror film Child's Play 3. This was an unexpected continuation of the Sylvers legacy. Although his days of chart-topping hits was behind him, his music never left him. He continued to write, sing, and mentor. Most notably, he wrote and produced In Motion for Freddie Payne. In the early 2000s, Edmund's health began to decline as he was battling lung cancer. Sadly, he lost his battle on March 11, 2004 at the age of 47. The world may have forgotten his name, but the voice is still echoing through every harmony, every beat, and every person who remembers what it meant to feel Boogie Fever for the first time. Today, my goal is to introduce a new generation to the amazing vocals of Edmund Sylvers. He wasn't just another disco act. He was a trailblazer, a vocalist, a man who gave everything to his craft, even when the world stopped watching. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song from Edmund Sylvers or your favorite song from the Sylvers?